Hi, Tara. How are you doing? Good to see you. How are you? Congratulations. You showed me that. That's great. Awesome. Glad to see you're here. I'm happy I'm not running hard. Yeah. Everything's good. Oh, okay. All right. Tell her I said hi. Maybe I'll get back in here. Well, good. Well, enjoy this. Thank you. And I'll look forward to seeing you. Thank you. Okay. Oh, for who? Oh, it's which office do you
I know.
Okay. Okay.
I love how.
It's warm in here. I was just gonna say, it's warm. Fans on.
I'm like, how much is it? I was thinking the same thing. It's 100,000.
Listen. Atlanta? It's got to get you back up into the north. Stay by the South Shore, huh? Transference too. I mean, I haven't seen Atlanta.
I heard about you. So I love it. Because that's right. All right, we're going to give it about 5 more minutes so that everybody's and thank you all for coming. I love having the party and people coming. And then we got TV right under.
Yeah, usually get 30. You get 30. Usually get 30.
So about 5 more minutes, and then we're going to turn it over to our kids. Okay? Fair enough?
I can't find anything for 3 million.
What I said was, so
Well, that last 5 minutes, and I promise you, what I am going to do is go ahead and introduce Reed Clark. Silverton Mortgage, he is responsible for great things happening in this office and lunch today. Would that be a fair?
I can judge whether which one's more important, lunch or the other great thing. But I'm Reed with Silverton Mortgage, and Heather right there is my wonderful assistant. She's responsible for ordering this delicious food. Danielle Zelinki and JD Little are also loan officers here in the office, so many of you have met them. I've been here in the office, I believe this is my 11th year, and very grateful for the business. If we can do anything to help you guys succeed, I will say this. Don't get flustered. Don't get overly worried about what's going on in the market right now. Keep your head down. The things that will make for success are the same things that have always made for success, which is lead generation, staying in touch with the database and things like that. The difference is that the low-hanging fruit is off the trees. You're going to have to climb the trees a little bit, but there's plenty of fruit out there to be had. I just want to encourage you guys, don't get pulled into the doom and gloom. Nobody can get under contract. It's not true. Quite frankly, by God's grace, we've had the busiest first 2 months of the year I've ever had, which I don't know, that's just crazy to me. But there's people that are getting under contract, there's people buying houses every day, and you might as well be a part of those transactions. So don't give in to a defeatist mindset. Just want to encourage you. If we can help in any way, please let us know. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks.
Are you all ready to get started? Okay. Today, what our topic is going to be 3 ways to work smarter, not harder. This is an unusual market. And what I thought we would do is have 3 very top performing individuals, and each one has a different direction that they're taking to make it work.
Mine's the right one.
Okay.
Anybody know who a D is?
You can tell who's spunky up here. We got some spunky people. Thank you. Michael Cheever, within himself has done an amazing amount of business over the years, and now has graciously taken on the LIFT program to help other agents perform at a high level. So Michael is doing the LIFT program. That is very different than Beth, who is part of a very large team, a mega team that performs again at a very high level. So their take on the questions are each time going to be very different. And Heather, who she and her dad are in business together, I know Heather's the one running the show, right? So
I appreciate that.
Well,
He's
okay.
showing homes to me today.
Okay. Oh, she's got it going
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah.
Okay. So anyway, when we ask the question, keep in mind, this is to give you an idea on different opportunities, different ways you can take your business. And so each one will have tips that you can either, kind of have an aha, or put in your mind that down the road, maybe I want to grow into a mega team. Maybe I want to do that. Maybe I want to work on a smaller scale, but achieve big results. Or you want to remain as a solo agent and you want that help to do so. So with that, just introduce yourself, tell how long you've been in the business, and then we'll go from there.
Michael Cheever. I've been in real estate for 22 years.
All right.
That was quick. No, you're right. My name is Beth Piazzi. I've actually only been in the business since June, but I was hired for training and development for Janice's team, which I've been in over 20 years. So
Tell the staff.
Hmm?
You just told.
Tell the stat.
Do it.
Do it.
Okay, I'll tell the stat.
This is impressive.
We're pretty excited. So we are one of 7 select partners with the Zillow group in the Atlanta market. And we just had our meeting with our Zillow rep yesterday, and we are now officially decisively the #1 team in the Atlanta market for Zillow.
Yay! This is together because it's awesome. So good,
Yes,
good for you.
yes, we're
Thank
very
you for
proud.
putting
And that was a
me-
massive turnaround from June. right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
She needs a raise, Janet.
Yeah. This is being recorded, so
I know.
good.
I know. I'm very
Okay, Heather.
impressed. Heather Abernathy, I've been in the business my whole life. I got sucked in at 14, probably by my dad. He didn't pay me for the appraisal work I did for him. And so now I'm getting it back. And we're just a 2-person team. And I started actually selling homes in 2002 and 3. So we went through everything. You and I have been through all of the fun, the ups and downs. And enjoying it still sometimes.
All right, we're gonna lean on you today for you to help us understand some of the tips that you're finding successful and things that we can do better in our business. So let's start out. When I said the 3 ways to work smarter, what I meant, what are the 3 ways that Gary Keller talks about working, the way we should be working?
I guess it's
Leads, listings, and leverage, exactly. So those 3 things we're gonna address independently and let them give their take on it, okay? You ready to start? Did you Google your answers before you came?
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Actually, Russell in my ear.
okay. That's right, call a, what is that?
Call a friend.
Call a
Yeah,
friend,
phone a
Yeah.
friend,
you know,
yes, exactly.
your health line.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of the things obviously with leads, when I think about that, there's a database or something to get those leads from. So from different perspectives, how are you growing your database once you, that aren't even leads yet, potentially? How is Lyft doing that?
It all starts with a conversation. So when you think about a lead, I want to reframe that. It's a human being, all right? It's not a lead. This is a human being. And the reason that they've raised their hand and that you're talking to them is because they're interested in conducting one of the largest financial transactions that they will ever conduct in their life. And home is where the heart is, right? So it's very personal. It's very intimate. There are goals and dreams and families and cousins and aunts and uncles. And when you think about a real estate transaction, there are rated the 5 most stressful things that a human being goes through in the course of their life. Life and death, right? So birth and death, right? You've got loss or marriage and divorce, okay? Moving is number 3, buying or selling, right? Then you've got illness or injury, new job or job loss, right? These are the 5 most stressful events that a human being goes through in the course of their life. And if you notice, the 3rd ranked one is moving, and typically somebody is moving because of one of these other things. So you are now involved in their life where multiple of the most stressful things that they're going to go through during the course of their life are happening at the same time, right? And so the first thing that I would say is move away from the idea, yeah, they're leads, right? But move into these are human beings. And regardless of however you decide that you're going to grow your business, whatever lead source or sources that you're going to work with, I'm just going to say, pick it and stick with it, okay? It's about consistency. There's actually an MREA 138, maybe 141, right? There's a breakdown of all the different lead generation types that you can do. And it's broken down based off of your disc as to what you're going to enjoy the most. So I would just say, yeah, anybody can sit up here and say, oh, this lead source, this lead source, this lead source. Find what's right for you. Make sure you remember they're human beings and stick to it consistently.
And like you said, they have to enjoy it. Like, if you really enjoy something, you do it. Like, clients feel it, right? So if you get a client appreciation of that is at a brewery because you love beer. I mean, allegedly, I liked it. But we have fun, you know, and everyone's hanging out and having a good time. And naturally, the conversation flows into real estate. They know that's why they're there too, you know. And you find you'll pick up maybe a listing lead or someone that was like, you know, I really do think I want to sell in this crazy market. It feels good, right? Because you're actually enjoying it. So.
From the team perspective, you know, our agents come in and we are providing the lead sources on the team. So from anywhere from Zillow, like I mentioned, Google local services, or just Janice's name in general with sign calls or driving by the office. they're coming in through our inside sales department. So when we speak to our agents about building their database and getting growing, we're talking a little bit more about that SOI and that referral business. So, you know, Michael might be handed to me via being on the team, but in that conversation, treating me like a human, like we talked about, and then finding out that your neighbor Heather is also looking to move. Now all of a sudden I've grown my database just by creating that connection and then building on that with the referral SOI piece.
Do you treat all relationships equal or lead? I mean, you can call them leads, you can call them relationships. Are they equal? Are they treated? We treat everyone equally, so I don't want it to be that way, but ranking as
It's
far
like, where's
as.
compliance?
Lord,
are you looking down?
Everyone is
Your
treated
housing laws here,
at
right?
the same level because you've got a system, but as far as that touch or that movement or when you're reaching out to those individuals, what does that look like, say, in the LIFT program?
Purchase and sale agreement. The buyer is stating that they are, or the agent is saying that they're bringing forth a ready, willing, and able buyer, right? And the seller is evaluating how ready, willing, and able they are based off of that offer, and they are deciding to accept that offer or not, okay? So I more call this qualify and sort, right? Okay. As you look at ready, as you look at willing, and as you look at able, right? You need to advise your clients on what it is to be ready, what it looks like for willing and able, especially able in this market. And you need to advise them and you know, make sure that you're educating them based off of what their goals are. You're properly resourcing them to accomplish those goals. And then think of yourself more as a decision consultant than a salesperson, right? You give them advice, you educate them, and then they make the decisions that say, are they ready? Are they willing? And are they able, right? So of course, in your business, you're going to qualify and sort who is ready, willing, and able, and then you're going to resource those that are not until they do become.
Yeah, my thought process when I saw the question was almost like a triage. You know, every lead comes in or every connection comes in equal, you triage it, and then you just determine exactly that, ready, willing, able in terms of who do I need to stay right on top of because they're ready to go versus who needs some of those resources, whether that's a lender or just another buyer's consultation to explain the whole process. And who is just dipping their feet in, trying to see what this is all about and needs to go more into a nurture program where we can do the touches, maybe not all the time, but that full assessment of where they are in the process and then going from there.
I mean, I agree with all this. That's good. I mean, it's a good point. I mean, every person has a different level of expectation in this market, and you really have to talk about managing those expectations with each one of them because every buyer, you know, they're excited and they're so happy about getting into this market, and then it's been difficult for some, and so you want to keep them, you should nurture them and not lose them, you know. But at the same time, you do have to make money in this business. That's why we're all here, right? So, I mean, if you spend all your time with one buyer, all they're doing is just looking at things with their pretty homes. That's not going to get you anywhere, you know. So you do prioritize based on.
I like what you just said, because are there times that we as agents, and you can answer this, nurture really are not letting go of someone that maybe isn't ready or isn't a good fit for one another on those
I mean, I had to let some people just go on the phone nights, and they're so thankful actually. By the time we get on the conversation, they're like, "Thank you, I needed to hear that." You know, because I'm like, "You're gonna have to put up a price on that kind of house," and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to have to go above list." And you're like, "Well, let me play out some scenarios that happened to me recently, and this is how we won the deal. Can you do need that?" And if they can't, and their budget's $250 in the spot, it's not happening right now, unfortunately. You know, and you don't want to be super negative, but you have to be realistic too, right?
You just said the prime word, realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you think that they appreciate that in the long run rather than just experience frustration? All right. You ready for the next question? Are you prepared? What kind of systems, once you've got relationships or leads, whatever you want to call it, you develop a relationship, what kind of systems are each of you using to nurture or to to promote that relationship to the point of whether they're buying or selling.
Are you not going first?
Yes, I know he's got all the answers. I feel like, right?
Seriously, my eyebrows said, yeah.
I know.
So, well, we definitely have systems in place. And, you know, it starts with our CRM and we're always tweaking it as well. So we're kind of looking at what you were talking about a second ago, Michelle, with not being ready to let people go when maybe you should. So we've set something up as simple as that lead comes in and they're brand new and our agent tries to get a hold of them. Well, we train and teach and coach and then set tasks to that, which is we want you to go after them for 5 days straight. And that is actually something that I can say, and it sounds, oh, well, just 5 days, but trying to convince someone brand new into real estate that they have to call or text or email someone for 5 days, they always look at me and go, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to bother
I've
them.
actually been told that it's on the 5th try. to the
Yeah.
9th, to the 9th
Yeah,
try,
it's
that you actually
unbelievable.
can be successful in your, which seems like you're bothering. I thought the
It
same
does,
thing.
you feel like you are, and so we, you know, we teach that, and then just in the last week, we set up a whole system of tasks, so they know when that lead comes in, they get prompted, make a phone call, followed up with a video text. Okay, you didn't get the response, tomorrow send an email. Next day, pick a call or call them, but pick a different time to call them. Send a follow-up text, send another email, all of these different ways to get in touch with someone and just like see if you can get there. And then if 5 days go by and you've done all 5 of these touches and you're getting nowhere, we want you to send them back. Now for us, it's a team. We have an inside sales department. We send them back for nurturing. We're not just trashing them. We're just saying, hey, we want to keep you in this lane of getting buyers under contract. So this is not someone that clearly is ready. So go ahead, send them back to nurture so that you can stay focused on the people that are ready to go.
And nurture, you do like a drip campaign.
Yeah,
like
so
where
then,
there's emailing
exactly,
and-
yeah, so, and we've got it set up so that, you know, once you do make that contact, we wanna see something every week. We're gonna assume that if you're showing homes that you are talking to them, but we still wanna make sure we see it, that's us with the accountability piece. And then once they do go back into nurture, that's someone that's long-term, you can't get a hold of them, we have the drip campaign set up. Whether that's our inside sales department or our agents. We encourage our agents to get to know people enough that if they realize it's gonna be nurture, that they've got the story, they don't have to give it back to an inside sales agent. They can keep them and then they can be the ones responsible for nurturing every month, just that quick touch. Hey, it's daylight savings time. Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day, whatever it is. So when you pop back up, you're still front of mind.
Your majority of leads are Zillow.
We are about 35 to 40% Zillow. So we've got about 15 different lead sources. Yeah. It does help on a big team, yeah.
We have the Dave Ramsey program, and that's kind of our lead source. That means our only actual paid lead resource. And I will say it was one of the things that 3 years ago I had a client that I sold homes to all the family members and the parents were getting ready to sell, and I was like, great, this is like a done deal. And the parents were like, oh no, we're only going with a Dave Ramsey agent. And I was like, wow, what did I do wrong? They go, no, we just trust everything Dave says. I mean, it's almost like a cold call. So I went on the website and signed up to become one and didn't hear from them for 2 years. So when they called me, I thought it was a joke. I was like, this isn't even real. And so we did just sign up with them a year ago. Last year we did 10 closings through that source. So that actually was pretty good. I mean, it was the most lucrative because they do take a big percentage and you do pay them a lot per month, but we're actually using it as something that we can grow on. Because, you know, you kind of run through your pool of people that you know and relationships. And so it's nice to have that. And we're also talking about bringing in other agents potentially to help us grow it. So that goes into leverage. That's how ours works.
All right.
I love what they both said, and if you kind of distill that down, right, is you need to have a system and a process, right? So you heard here from 15 different lead sources and inside sales agents and all these things, and as individual agent, your head might start spinning there and going, whoa, right? But if you really distill this down, it was new, nurture. How many people have heard those terms in Keller Williams culture, right? Okay. CRM, how many have one provided to you for free? How many people are using it, right? Okay, all right. And taking the lead through a process, right? So whatever process it is that you define, and then you stick to it consistently, right? If the average is right around 7, right? So you're not bugging someone who has raised their hand and said that they want to buy or sell when you're following up with them. How many people have ever had one of your family or friends give your name to a Northwestern mutual salesperson? No, okay, now listen, I wanna, okay. Oh, look, hey, here's the one I gave it to him. Yeah, right, because listen, that guy, when you sit down with them, the guy or girl that you sit down with Northwestern Mutual after the meeting, they slide a piece of paper across to you and they go, so, who are 5 people that you know that I should get in touch with? So they sit there and look at you like, I'm gonna have to tell them something to kick them out of here. But I'm bringing this up to say, they will follow up and they will follow up and they will follow up. And guess what? When I finally decide that I'm ready for some life insurance, who am I calling? Right? Okay. The reason I'm not calling them back, it's nothing personal to them, right? I'm just not ready for life insurance, right? However, they're staying in touch, right? Okay. So I would just encourage everybody, if you have 5 and you can hand it off to an ISA, great. If not, I would hit it 7 to 11, to what Heather's saying. And then I would still not trash it. I would just put that in, and it might be a month. Then I might go 2 months. Then I might go 3 months, that kind of thing. When you have a CRM in a process, remember the shortest pencil is longer than the longest memory, right? Okay. So when you have a CRM, you don't have to use pencil. Okay.
And I think honestly, some people complicate the CRM a lot. I honestly love my Excel and my whiteboard. I'm very simple. I command is fine, but I like to have one sheet in front of me that I can see the big picture, and that's how and I have a huge whiteboard in my office. It's the size of a teacher's whiteboard, and it's awesome because I can sit at my desk and I can look at that board. I'm like, I have not talked to them in a week or 2 weeks, and it just helps me visually to see it up there and to keep track of the people that are the ones that you lose easily because you talk to them in 3 weeks. So I keep it simple for me. I know that people like to have everything emailed and texted to them and bombarded, and that might help me be better at what I do. But I just like having that in my office.
But I like you pointed that out because there is no one way that works.
No.
There's multiple ways that work. And if it puts you into action, that's the key. If you get bombarded with multiple emails and you don't take action, it didn't matter, did it? So good.
Writing
Good.
on the board.
All right, well, you all covered my next question, so good for you. Let's end this leads/relationships with one last unusual question. And it's, give me the most unusual lead source or things that set you apart. So either an unusual lead source, if you want to share that you uncovered and you go, wow, I just never thought about that. Never explored that, I don't know. Or just something that you think sets you apart when it comes to nurturing those relationships.
We've actually trained our agents if they say they had one conversation and then the person just fell off a cliff and they've tried, we've actually trained our agents to go ahead and send a text message that says, are you mad at me?
Oh, interesting.
Have I done something to upset you? Because people just have to answer that.
Yeah. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, like, yes, you have.
So if you don't join Keller Williams, so I said that, are you mad at me?
Have I done something to upset you? Yeah.
I love it.
Yes,
I'm gonna write that down.
You have to answer.
That's really good. It's like asking somebody up front, would it offend you if I asked you a question? Right? Most people are gonna like cover up a little bit. No, go ahead. Right? Yeah, I get that. Unusual lead source, I would say just one that organically happened for me that really surprised me. When my son was 4 years old, I started coaching a soccer team at the YMCA. I wound up coaching that soccer team for 11 years. And the people that were part of that team just became family, raised my kids with them and helped raise their kids and that kind of thing. So if there's something that you're passionate about and there's ability to go in and volunteer in a group, you're going to be giving and you will receive.
I agree with any group that you're involved in, because I remember I was part of a Mo's group like 7 years ago, and I was only in it for like 3 years. Got no deal, nothing.
What kind of group?
It was called Mo's, it was Moms to Everyone. It used to be Moms. It became Mo's. And so it was a great group of women, but then COVID hit and everything else. But last year I traded 7 deals.
So it took a
Years,
while.
yeah, it took a long time. Surprising when they come out of.
So we talked about consistency, right? Oh, I've been farming this neighborhood for 3 months and I haven't gotten anything. So I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna pay for leads for this lead source. Oh, I've been paying for leads for this lead source for 3 months. I haven't gotten anything. I'm gonna go over here.
Yeah,
We'll be out of the business before long.
yeah, you gotta stay in one place. I think they say what, 18 months on farming?
Yeah.
Yeah, neighborhood.
We will move on to listings. You are off the hot box from leads there. So on listings, why do you focus on listings? What reason and what comes from that?
Right now, you can see this thing going, right? I mean.
Well, it depends. It's 7 days of,
Of
you know,
intense-
wide
intense.
open. So don't.
Yeah,
don't
no,
forget
great, that's
that.
for 3 or 4 days,
Yeah.
I feel like, but the listings is what help grow the business. Period. I mean, it's incredible, when you have one listing, I can attribute 6 deals from sometimes, you know? Because it brought in the buyers, and it brought the activity to my Facebook page, and it brought, you know, discussions with my clients, who are like, wow, you got that listing, that's such a cool listing, tell me more, and you get more listings like that, and it just builds so much from there. So if you get, you know, 5 listings in a year, you might be able to attribute another, you know, 5 deals from that at least. So.
It's just that market presence. I mean, it's market share and I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. Just, you know, who's walking into an open house.
And your signs, right? I mean, your signs are out there too.
Oh,
It's like-
yeah, we have one that, you know, we sold on the cul-de-sac and had the, you know, across the street on the same cul-de-sac, see it and contact us and got that listing as well. We had an agent host her own open house and real unusual home and ended up with people walk in, put an offer in on that house and then said, well, but we'll also need you to list the one we need to sell to buy this one. So we, you know, I just was putting it out there to the team that we needed people to host open houses this weekend, and we're going after, this is how you build your SOI. This is how you know, become more familiar with the neighborhood, meet people, and, you know, so yeah, that's all in the listings.
We put in an offer on a property this weekend that had an open house on Sunday or Saturday, from 1 to 5. Guess how many buyers walked through? I say buyers, right? And we know half of them are looky-loos and this and that, but guess how many people walked through that house between 1 and 5 on Saturday? 100, 200, anybody else? 50,
250.
250,
7.
all right, 450.
Oh my God.
So the seller actually had the camera and he's recording a video of the people coming in and out. He's speeding it up for the agent. She's gonna be able to post this on her social media and on her marketing of a fast-paced thing of just all this activity. You go meet with a seller and you say, hey, here's what we can do for you, right? Yeah. 2 years ago, how many people were hosting open houses? Okay, 1. Sorry. You know, and I'm not saying sorry to that. I'm just saying sorry, like as growing your business from a listing. So what Michelle's saying is, why are listings so important to your business, right? So what we've heard here is market awareness. What we've heard here is the ability, which Beth brought up, to have buyers come in who maybe they have another piece of business that they're interested in you conducting with them, right? And that could be helping them buy a home, and that could be helping them list a home if they decide to buy another home, right? But that is a way. So Zillow, we talked about Zillow. What is a Zillow lead fundamentally? Has anybody thought about this? Huh?
I mean, it's just someone searching on the internet.
It's a sign call. Zillow went and got all the listings in the country and they put them online and they said, here's all the information that a buyer would be interested in searching or Googling or whatever about this listing. And oh, by the way, if you'd like to contact an agent. So the graduation of this, it started off with the broker's phone number and that was it, right? And people used to have call, desk duty, call day, whatever. They would be taking sign calls. That's what you're doing, right? Okay. And then I graduated over, then you put a little text writer and now the agent or somebody would get this information so that they could reach back out to the lead who had interest in this listing. And now what Zillow's done is they've said contact agent, right? People think a percentage of those people, a decent percentage of those people think they're contacting the listing agent, get some information about that house. It's a sign call, right? So when you have a listing this is an opportunity for you to receive those signed calls. And if you just want to walk them in the door, right? List the property on Wednesday or Thursday, okay? Have an open house on Saturday, and if you want Sunday, right? And you're gonna have a lot of buyers coming through. If you really want to go nuts on the number of people that are gonna go through, list it on a Wednesday or a Thursday and restrict showings until Saturday and Sunday. Right? You know, tell your seller, go on vacation for a few days, right? And here we go.
That's it in a nutshell. Everyone's doing that now.
Well, you know, it's interesting where you talk about the open houses. And I love that speeded up 450 people going through. What does my first thought is how many of you are listing properties that you're having to respond to every request to show that property?
That's why we send them away.
That's why you send
the
them
sellers
away.
out.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, but if you're doing open house,
We'll show them.
come on,
Mhm.
That's true.
come on. Do you ever worry about just not being able to track who's been in that house? How are you solving that? Because obviously with Supra opening and shutting, those you know who's been in that house, you know to follow up.
I'm
Tell
not
me-
doing the open houses because of that. In fact, my sellers are very concerned about their house and the track. All the
Okay.
people tracking through it. I mean, they're okay with like 50 or 60 showings from agents that have real buyers.
Mhm.
They don't want 400 people in their house, you know, especially if it's raining. Oh gosh, that'd be like a nightmare to them.
It's the most I've ever heard of. And
Yeah.
we'll ask sellers in the listing, now,
Yes.
what are your thoughts about open houses? Then listen, right, you know, and whatever they say, you're gonna sell the house either way, right? If they feel like it's important to them to have open houses, now you're gaining value with them because you're gonna host an open house. And if they don't want open houses, fine, we're gonna sell your home either way, right? It's an opportunity relative to listings of how listings can be valuable to you.
I will give a warning about cameras though, again, because we almost had a deal fall through with that. It was a listing that they made the offer on it and the cameras at the front door only. It wasn't everywhere else. And the buyer's agent was like, look at this, look at the concrete, look at this mortar, it's coming up. They're hiding something, you know? And my seller's like, no, we're not hiding anything. That's actually us maintaining the brick. And yes, it doesn't match as good as it should. And they were livid. So when she went to ask for some repairs, they said, absolutely not. We don't like.
So what's something that you could tell a buyer before you walk into a house? Huh? Right,
Wait till the
don't
end.
talk, but say nice, you know, just, you know, kind of be aware, right? We could be on video,
Thank them.
right?
I mean, honestly, at the end, be like, thank you so
Yeah.
much, the camera.
Hey, we're gonna write a great offer.
Yes. You don't know where you're gonna video nowadays.
Yeah, we teach, just make sure you're aware, there's a good chance there's recording, video, audio, either both, and to save all comments, conversations out to the car. Just
You might have
down the driveway.
Right? You might have
Yeah.
really wanted it, and they go back to that video and they're like, not them,
Mhm.
not doing that deal.
Mhm.
I don't care.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be very offended about their personal.
Oh,
It's very personal.
Yeah.
so when you have a listing that is priced right, the condition is great, and you get multiple offers, how are you managing that? Because, and I'm gonna preface by saying this, every once in a while, not often, but every once in a while, I get a call from a co-op agent. Our agent won't respond. They've texted them, they've emailed them, and now they're calling me like I can magically make you all do something, and I can't. I'm going through the same thing they are. So tell me about that. What you are doing to facilitate maybe a smooth thing? Because I haven't got anything from y'all. I haven't gotten any calls, but
Thank goodness.
yeah.
I try to be
I have no
reasonable.
idea why.
It's a spreadsheet, you know,
Yeah.
you just run an Excel spreadsheet and everything, yeah.
Yeah, we do a spreadsheet with all the major points, and then they can look at everything on one page again, because it's confusing to send. I mean, you send them all to the, so they know what, right? But they're not gonna go into that depth, they just don't. Once
Are
they
you-
get 15 of them, they're not going into every single.
Are you acknowledging when agents send you an offer? I've received, thank you, we'll be meeting with the seller at, I mean, what are you doing to set their expectations?
Don't you do that in private remarks?
Mhm.
I mean, that's, you can't do it to every single person, so a private remark is like, hey, we promise we'll get back to you by Monday morning.
Okay,
Yeah, Heather's spot on. There's kind of two levels. One would be the private remarks. You need to go in there, you need to explain, here's, and update it as you go along, right?
Yes,
So
yeah.
on, Friday or Thursday, you've listed it and you said, here's showing instructions if you have a preferred lender or closing attorney, or if there's specific closing date and possession after closing that the seller wants. If there's minimums relative to earnest money, good. Help educate them its scale, right? So that way, everybody who's looking at this listing, if they'll do minimal amount of homework, at least read the private remarks, right? Then they're going to be up ahead of the game. Continue to update those as you go along, right? I read one on Wednesday, and they said, hey, we've received all the offers. Thank you so much for submitting them. We are in the process of reviewing them with the seller. Please be patient, right? And I was like, smart, right? And then you also see offer instructions. So in the Remind docs, which if anybody fix it. But in the Remind docs you download, and there's offer instructions sometimes, right? And this is going to give you even more detail than what you can find sometimes in the private remarks. And if you go online, if you don't have one, go online and look at some and make your own, right? That you think would be good.
I mean, this market is dynamic, and I feel like it's changing almost every week. So one of the best things you can be doing, like as your research on the side, is just call all of the pending buyers agents that are under contract and say, what did you do to win this deal? I do it all the time, and I'm shocked at how much information I get from that. So it's helping my clients with the next deal.
What a good tip.
It's been really helpful.
Say that again. You're doing what?
Just calling, so you can always see when you're under contract, right? The buyer's the agent that's under contract with that buyer, and a lot of times it's Keller Williams, which is awesome. And so when you call them, you just say, I'm with Keller Williams as well. I want to win the next contract. You're under contract on this. How's it going? You think you're still going to get the deal? And they're always like, oh yeah, it's fine. We didn't have any contingencies. But they'll tell you kind of their terms, and it's encouraging to my buyers. So I'm like, we can do this too. Like we can do this. We don't. It's not cash actually. It's conventional and things like that. So it helps from the next offer we make.
And now, think about what Heather said. Did she call the listing agent or the buyer's agent? Why? So they won the deal, and the listing agent knows the same information. Why would you call the buyer's agent?
Listing doesn't want to share in case the deal falls apart.
Listing agent doesn't want to share the information in case the deal falls apart. Buyer's agent's like, look at what I just did. Right,
I love
How
that.
many of you heard about that listing in Suwanee? It was listed at 500,000 and they had 155 offers on it. Did anybody hear about that?
Yeah, it was all over Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, and so we had an agent that went after it as well, and she shared the email that the listing agent sent back, and it was a total breakdown of 155 offers, this many offers over this amount, this many offers over that amount, and really just like walked everybody through how many offers had X, Y, and Z, and what the winning offer had, and obviously same thing, no contingencies, and I think over 705, I think it sold for $500,000 was the list price. Yeah. I think
say that's an agent.
There's another one like that. Yeah.
Well, and to that point too, we did talk about that. Why would you do that to your sellers? Why would you do it to yourself? That's a lot of work. If you thought you were going to create this like buying frenzy, great, congratulations, but did that really bad.
Y'all practically, okay, it doesn't matter whether you get 50, 70, or 20 offers, okay? There's gonna be a top 5, all right? And that's if you get 50 offers. There's gonna be a top 10%. If you get 20 offers, there's gonna be a top 2 or 3, okay? All right, they're just gonna elevate themselves in one of 3 categories. This is amount, this is timing, and this is certainty, right? So as you're evaluating an offer, you need to look at it in one of those 3 ways, okay? It's amounts, right? Any amount, right? Timing, those are all timings in the agreement. And what's the level of certainty that the buyer is willing to assure the seller that they're going to get that amount in that time, right? Break them down in that way, however you do that. And then once you have the top ones, you just need to start cutting people loose, right? You need to let them know, hey, guess what? We have, if they've offered $675,000 on a $675,000 listing, and you got $725,000 offers, they're waiving all contingencies. Ask your seller for permission to go and release them back into the buying universe. Okay, all right, and go ahead.
Sometimes you get a buyer's agent a break.
What's that?
Gives you a little bit of a break with the
100%, because then they're not going to be like, hey, well, hey, how are we doing? Hey, look.
Right.
You know, when you got a listing and you've got obviously systems in place on how you're gonna handle it, is one of the ones, that in FMLS or Georgia MLS, whatever, whatever direction, are you posting documents that go with that so that you don't have to be contacted by that buyer's agent to complete a contract?
I think you said that.
So two things, you got the private remarks, and then you can upload into a mine where the little document button on the listings, you know what I'm talking about, you hit that, where you normally have the CAD, the SPD, lead-based paint, if it's private, all that stuff, you just have offer instructions.
I'm almost saying you should do that for any listing now.
I agree
Just,
100%.
They'll save you so much time and effort.
It saves you so much time, and your job as a listing agent is to represent whose best interest. So go ahead and put, here's what the seller wants. Why not? Right? Why wouldn't you do that?
Okay. Well, and I'm always interested, or I'm amazed how many non-Keller Williams agents, or even sometimes, don't even put the documents in there. So it's like a hunting game to put together.
You have a master's in computer science to get through that thing, to upload them. I mean, let's don't, it's like, it's no joke.
Once you learn, it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. But the other thing is, are you doing legal descriptions?
Yeah.
Okay. Why would we do legal descriptions and not just the address? This is a trick question.
Uh-oh.
The seller and you could fulfill it.
You could, but those who study contracts, if you don't have a legal description, if you don't have an address, is not, it doesn't make your contract valid. You have to have the legal description. And I'm always interested when I look through FMLS, how many they just put 0, 0, 0, 0. What would that tell you as another agent, that they are working in the seller's behalf, or maybe they're a little bit green? That was nicer than lazy. Yeah, I agree. So all of these things, if you're going to focus on listings, they're telling you everything to make your life a little bit easier. When you say, right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So what work, we'll do one more question on listings, and then we'll move on to leverage, because when you do all these things we're talking about, then you're going to need leverage, correct? And leverage looks different in different ways. But what works best for you to get your listings? Is it database, networking, door knocking, open house, social media, mailers? What have you as an individual agent found best? You as Lyft, you as a mega team, answer it that way.
I would say that we pull greatly just from Janice's database and referral network, and just the name in general. We only have a few listing agents on the team, and they say rather busy, and I think a lot of that is just the sign, the name recognition, and that just generates more and then more and more and more that way.
I mean, for me, most of the listings we're getting this year are based on us finding them a home. So a lot of inventory will be released on our team once we find them something. And I feel like I'm probably gonna get to the point where I just meet with some of my favorite people that are agents and just say, hey, here's my board, this is what I got, and this is what would come if you'll give me this, and just start doing it that way, because it's getting really difficult to find homes.
That's a good tip.
Amen on that.
Yes,
Yeah,
right?
that's great.
Yeah, you wanna join me?
Yep. Amen.
We're gonna
Sign
do a
up.
chart, and I bet we can help each other out here a lot.
Yeah.
So.
One thing to be careful about there is on listings with your clients, you need to make sure that they're getting the highest amount possible, right? So if you're doing a pocket listing,
For sure.
that's something to be aware of.
It doesn't have to be a pocket though. It's just sometimes just knowing ahead of time that it's coming.
And getting out
I
there
can get
first.
them, I
Yeah.
can get there first. I can have an inspector there that day and get it all wrapped up. And then that way I can have the strongest offer possible, even if it's not the best, it may not be, but at least I can make that agent comfortable.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to be as aggressive as I can. You know?
100%.
But yes, I think you're right. The pocket listing's not gonna give them the best offer. And I told my clients that if they sell off market, I go, you could lose $50,000 to $100,000.
Mhm.
But if you have peace of mind, is that better for you? You tell me. you know, they have to decide.
Open door and offer pad, do it every day.
Yep.
So, here's something a little bit unique, sure. And this goes across the board, a sphere-based referral, right, from a previous client or, you know, being referred to you from a previous client or a friend or whatever it is. It's the best lead in the business, okay, all right? The transference of trust and confidence that goes from one human being to another that they know and trust, who says, hey, call Jennifer, right? Call Beth, they're amazing, right? Automatically, right? Boom, right? This happens. I will tell you, as far as looking for listings, circle prospecting, right? It's a grind, and it's the, you know, you're literally getting in touch with people and you're having conversations with them, and it's an opportunity to be what I call ahead of the curve, right? And you're being proactive, right? So number one, most successful habit of highly successful people is to be proactive, right? And activity breeds activity. The agent who put our listing under contract, we listed a house in Roswell last week, and we had, I don't know, 76 showings in 3 days. I don't even know how we got in there that fast. Or I'm sorry, 4. So it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Okay. The agent who wound up locking it down, I actually called because she had another property in the same neighborhood. I think what you did, under contract. And I called her and I said, hey, do you know how many offers there were? What did you guys do to win? Right. We started this conversation. She says, well, why do you ask? Right. She asked me a question back. Right. She answered my question. She asked me a question back. Law of reciprocity. Right. You've just done for me. Now I'll do for you. Right. So I told her about it. She goes, hey, I have another buyer that I think would be perfect for that. Can I get in further? Right. I was like, you just help me out. Absolutely. You can get in early, right. So I get her in. She was the first offer submitted. Right. And y'all, she came strong. Right. I told my wife, I was like, baby, that offer's winning. Right. So we wound up with, I don't know, about 30 offers. Right. And that offer won. The reason I'm saying this is she was proactive. She's doing business. Activity breeds activity, right? If you just start doing something and doing it consistently, right? I'm not talking about watching TV, right? But, you know, do something business related consistently, and you just stick with it. That activity will be activity in your business.
And I think another great source is when you're just like, hey, to all your friends on Facebook or all the people that you know, I need this. I have a great family that I want in our neighborhood in Princeton Mill. Help me.
Yeah.
Like, help me. You're my friends. You know, I work in this business. I got 2 listings in my neighborhood. Like they're off market. We might be able to work on them that way. You know what I mean? But it's just because you're in your area, work your people. Like not in a bad way, but like, you know, just say, hey, I need help. Help me.
We've
Please.
gone in and we'll canvass the entire neighborhood with a mailer that just says, hey, we have a great family that wants to live in this neighborhood. If you're interested in selling your home, please contact us. Here's a business card. Here's, you know, the information. And that, you know, either gets the listing for that buyer or someone else that wasn't even thinking about selling is something like, oh, maybe I'll give this person a call.
Actually, you just take them out. My assistant does them.
The mailers.
The mailers, the postcards. But a lot of people throw them away now. Unfortunately, I feel like.
Well, I will tell you, just off topic, my ex-husband is selling his townhome up in Illinois, and I asked him, well, how did you find an agent? You know, hello, I could have gotten you a referral or whatever. But you know what he said? He goes, you know, I kept getting this flyer, this mailer in my mailbox from this one agent, and I just felt like maybe I'll be that one person that calls her and she actually gets a lead from her mailer. And that was his thought process was, I'll be that guy that actually calls her and she goes, oh, we found my mailer
But
work.
she was consistent.
Yeah,
You know
she
what I'm
was.
saying?
Oh, yeah, she
So-
didn't send him one.
No.
She sent multiple.
Exactly. So that's the thing.
So with what you just said, do you track what you are doing to see the return on it in some way?
Oh, yeah, well, our team is tracking everything.
Okay, okay. Any questions on listings? I love what you've given. If not, we'll move to leverage.
I have a question, Sean, I have a question. So Michael and I had this conversation yesterday. An agent called me, in this office, been here for a long time, and he called me and says, I understand the market is dead. My business is dead right now. This is down 80%. my buyers cannot buy any houses, I'm gonna have to get a part-time job. Now, would you all agree with that statement? I'll start with you, Michael. You and I talked about, and I prepped you for it. Y'all can think about
Wait,
it.
who's looking for it?
And it's in this office.
No, okay.
And Michael, how would you
I thought you were
respond
saying
to
you said
that?
that.
To that thing? And Beth, how would you respond to that? Like I said, Michael, how would you respond? Right? I'll be quiet.
No, no, thanks.
Everybody, you have an amazing market analysis tool that is right at your fingertips, and you may have used it, you may not have, right? When you go to My Matrix, okay, and you log into FMLS, right? Right there on the left, there's a little box about a third of the way down on the left-hand side, right? You punch the little button and it blows up, right, to the size of your screen. And when it blows up, there's 12 categories down on the bottom, right? So it's new listings, sold, list price to sales price. Then it talks about pending sales. All of this is down there, right? And you can go back and you can sort it back 3 years, right? So you're able to look at 2019, 2020, 2021, year to date in this year. And what you find is you find that there's only about 11% drop in listings right now over last year, right? So 11%, it's not that big, right? So then you look at how many homes sold in 2021, how many homes sold in 2020, how many homes sold in 2019. More buyers are buying homes in Metro Atlanta and closing on them than ever before, okay, all right? You can also look at trends, right? So you look and you see, okay, well, what is the lowest period of new listing volume that is in the market, 2019, 2020, 21? December, January, February, it's the lowest time, right? And then February, March, April start picking up, right? So look at things like that. When you get discouraged, what Jim said is someone got discouraged, right? And they weren't doing any business, right? And this is a place, and this is also valuable information for you to educate your clients on.
Yeah, it's not dead. It's just challenging. It's totally different. So, in fact, it's so challenging because it's so busy. It's like the opposite of dead, I think. It's just a matter of, how you're going to win the next offer. And we're talking a lot with our agents about, and it's a true conversation of who has more ideas on what we can do to win offers, because it's not so much we don't have anybody that wants to buy a house. It's more like we don't have any houses for all the people that want to buy one. So what can we do? And so our conversations are much more in, okay, you said earlier 250 in East Cobb, probably not going to happen, but find out why East Cobb, and then go from there and take that information. Schools, well, guess what? East Cobb has great schools, but there's other areas that have great schools as well. Yeah, it's true. I know. I live in West Cobb myself, and I'm like in the minority of it at the office, and yeah. But and I have agents that are talking to, people that thought that they wanted to live over, let's say, Kennesaw, Acworth, and they can't get in there. And then the conversation is, well, then it's dead. Sorry, no, it's, have you considered Cartersville? Have you considered Canton? Have you considered these other areas? They're not that much further, or whatever it might be, schools, distance to work, etc. There's not just a one road to your job. There's plenty of roads with the same amount of distance. So yeah, we're certainly not dead, but yes, January, February, it was a little bit disheartening, but not dead. And now they are seeing the fruits of the labor and the persistence and the perseverance, because it's picking up.
You're gonna get really good writing contracts, right?
Yes.
I copy it over and pop it out.
I think my favorite thing with your theme was it said, here's the contract, just have your seller fill it out for us. I'm like, that's actually not far from the truth.
I love one thing that Beth said there, which is move the conversation away from what to why. And now you're able to solve with additional solutions, right? What? East Cobb schools. What? East Cobb schools, right? So I'll go, hey, why East Cobb schools? And you start talking about, well, this is good. Now you start opening the conversation up and then, oh, okay, cool. So is that the only thing, or is it tribe time to work, or is there family? Or when you start opening this conversation up and you find out, hey, there are other solutions, right?
Yeah.
So that's brilliant.
Excellent. Are you all ready to talk about leverage?
Mhm.
When did you know, Michael, and this is that this point, you stepped into a role that already had recognized they need leverage. So we're gonna let you explain what that looks like from a team. But when, Michael, did you start and you go, I cannot do this by myself. I need team players?
Oh, I'm stubborn. It took me 16 years. And some of the people that I know have heard this story. So I sold real estate in my basement for 16 years. And I walked upstairs and told my wife, I was like, I'm done. I ain't selling real estate no more. She's like, you better. She's smarter than me. And she's like, look, why don't you find a better way? You spent 16 years becoming an expert in this industry. You have a wonderful database of clients. All at that point, all I had to do was just answer my phone. I was doing $12 to $14 million worth of business. What I did well was I loved my clients, right? When we were on, you got me all, right? Okay. What I did terrible was leverage. Right. And I was doing so many things that I didn't like to do. The actual and people that I love would call and I'd see the phone ring and I go, all right, because there were so many things that I didn't like to do that I was about to have to do. Right. And all of those things were much lower dollar per hour, much less human skill related. That's really when you're making money in real estate, is when you're face to face, when you're solving people's problems, when you're answering their questions and you're inspiring trust and confidence in a shifted market, right? That's when you're making money in real estate at a high level. And if you're really good at real estate, that's the things that you like to do, right? However your personality is, it doesn't matter. Those are the things that you really enjoy in real estate. So that's what I knew.
Okay, and now take it to present. You're facilitating the LIFT program. What kind of leverage does that give to agents that are participating in the program?
So lead flow, technology, training to convert the lead flow that you receive, and leverage in place to support the business that results. If you have lead flow and you convert that lead flow, your business will grow, okay? And what you're gonna find is you're gonna find there's a ceiling and you're gonna bump your head up against that ceiling, right? And it's why I believe teams are a great place for agents to be, is because it's already just built in. Right? You just plug into the process and it's not a question of, oh, am I going to have a transaction manager? Oh, am I going to have a CRM? Oh, am I going to have lead flow? No. Sorry. If any of y'all have ever met Dennis, you know this isn't a conversation, right? This is, here's the way it is, right? Welcome, provided that, right? And it's just the way it is. And so really, the way that LIFT has been set up is for those that want to be on a team, wonderful, right? For those that want to be individuals, then you have the ability to have those pieces of leverage provided to you and just built in.
Does everyone know what LIFT is? Does everyone know what LIFT is?
Spell it. Go ahead, spell it out.
No, I would love for him to, because I keep hearing the word and I really don't know what it means.
I don't like the newbies that just got their license in like CRM.
I'm like, I have no idea what LIFT is. Is
Management.
this something that you're paying for as a lead source you're giving people?
So basically, about a year and a half ago, Gary Keller looked at our industry and particularly our company and said that the OPs and the team leaders and the market centers had to start supporting the core level of success of the agents at Keller Williams. Well, 90% of people are out of this business in less than 5 years. Okay. And out of the business, half of them are just hanging their license, right? So we've talked about it being an imbalanced market. Well, guess what happens in imbalanced markets, right? Is there's people who starve, right? Okay. And they leave the business, right? Heather, I don't know about you, but 2012, 13, 14, real estate was cool, right? Because we had just pruned out the people in real estate who didn't know what they were doing. And you're doing deals with agents and you're on the other side and this and that. And then is what started happening for me was, as people started scaling and growing the business, they started getting transaction managers. They started putting in leverage. I didn't have any leverage, so I was my own leverage. And I'm interacting with somebody else's transaction manager, and they're like, "Where's a copy of this? Where's the initials on this?" I'm like, "Whoa, slow down." I normally just have that sitting over here on the side until right before closing and just clean all the time, right? Yeah. But Gary recognized what was going on in the industry, and that kind of turnover and that kind of attrition in our industry. What does that create for the consumer?
They don't respect us as much.
Y'all, it diminishes the consistency and the quality with which our industry delivers to the consumer, right? Okay. So with that, the solutions to this. So Gene heard that, and she says, okay. She goes, I agree. You know, for those of y'all who don't know, Jean started door knocking 30-something years ago, expired, right? And now she's built one of the most successful businesses in real estate. And she hears this and says, hey, I agree 100%. So she started with leverage, which is what we're about to talk about, right? And started providing contract close and different services for agents whose businesses have grown. And then she looked at it and said, hey, we also need to help agents grow their business. And so that is what Lift is you know, lead flow training to convert that lead flow, and then leverage to support your business as it grows.
Are you providing leads to?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you find them? Where are you doing? That's what I'm just wondering.
We
Like,
just dig them right
I
out.
like,
of the dirt.
are you getting more leads, like, or leads are coming to the office or getting?
No. So this is lead generation.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes.
That makes more sense.
Circle prospecting, dispose, just
Okay.
calling them.
So it starts off, just as an explanation, so it starts off with 30-day boot camp, right? You're gonna work what we'll call a massive amount of quantity, but a low hit rate, right, on leads, okay? Once you graduate from boot camp, then you move into the Lift 90, and that's where you start getting other lead sources, you know, where you start getting lead sources like Zillow, or you start getting lead sources like Google AdWords, where you start getting leads like,
And you're leading that?
yes.
Okay. Sorry. Sidebar.
No,
I just keep hearing it over and over again. I'm like, I don't.
okay, so on leverage, thank you, because that obviously gives this program, it's not a team, it's a program, allows agents to either A, jumpstart their business, B, make their business more consistent, or grow their business. I mean, you can do all sorts of things with it, right?
100%. So I started a Ohio group team in this office 3 years ago, built it up to 2.5 years to over 25 agents, and actually Janice. And so Janice is now ahead, by the way. Janice took that lead back, right? Okay. Teams are a wonderful place to start in real estate. Okay, they just are. Okay. If you're more of an individual entrepreneur and you want to own your own business, right? This is an opportunity for you to be resourced by Keller Williams, by the Market Center, by Jean, to go out and build a business. And y'all, it's hard. Okay, all right. And there's some people in this room that are going through it right now, and it's hard, right? So this is just another resource for our industry to stop having 90% turnover. Okay, I mean, ultimately it's about the consumer, and our industry must start delivering a consistent consumer experience.
Sounds like it raises the image of us as professionals, correct? Because we're consistent and we've got systems and we help them from A to Z.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Tell us about your leverage, what it looks like for the Genius Overbeck team.
I mean, I'm part of the leverage, aren't I? And, you know, because they recognized that they wanted to grow this team, and in order to do so, they decided to bring someone in-house that could run all the training and development and make sure that these agents that join the team all get a consistent training, consistent message, and get all the foundations and fundamentals under their belt before they're released out to take the leads. You know, Janice started out, Gunnar was helping open doors, they got busy, she got an assistant, they were working above her garage, not the basement, but above the garage. And when she started doing the business and the team started, you know, the whole idea was, let's keep these agents kind of in this lane of buyers out under contract, that 20%, and then they're gonna leverage the 80% to make that happen so they can stay in that lane. So they bring in an inside sales department. That is somebody, that's a group of people that is answering the phone from 8 a.m., 8 p.m., every single call that comes into the office. And they're nurturing them, they're getting the information, and then they're farming those leads out to the team. And once the agent gets somebody under contract, now we've got a transaction coordinator team that is out there to go contract to close. And so that puts that agent in that spot of just developing the relationships, getting those buyers, getting them under contract and on to the next buyer with, you know, that same customer service coming in on the front end and on the back end, which then creates that whole team environment. And we're constantly like looking at ways to just make it that much easier and seamless for our agents. So I've been there since June. We've already changed CRMs because we realized that there was a better opportunity with a different one. Why? Because we could just have, you know, a better organizational system with our Zillow situation. It gives us we're eventually going to be able to have them integrated together so that the agents have one less thing to do. It's basically just, what can we do to make your lives easier as you're out there trying to get people under contract? And the other piece of it is, you know, as much help as any agent needs when they're going and writing offers and the compliance and all of that. What we're finding, especially right now, is it's almost like helping them understand how to be therapists and, you know, like relationship experts and, you know, whatever it is. And so I've talked to plenty of agents off the ledge, so to speak, you know, where they are starting to just like, I can't get a deal, I can't get a deal. One of our agents was just taking every single Zillow call she could and just felt like she was getting nowhere. She was ready to walk out the door. And we held on to her and told her just to be patient. And I think she has 5 under contract right now. It all just, it comes. And so a lot of that we're doing is, you know, a support, wrap our arms around you. This is not easy, especially if you're brand new. And so not only am I here, Russell's there, Janice Gunnar, but you also have a team of 20 other agents who someone's going to say, oh, you know what, I just experienced this recently. Here's how I did it. And so part of the leverage is actually other agents and just that camaraderie and that teamwork. So, yeah.
Heather, what kind of leverage are you using and when did you decide it was needed?
I was like here for a little bit. I think, so my father had his own business here in East Cobb, called Perimeter Brokers for 30 years. And he is a do-it-yourself guy, like do all of it, which made my mom nuts. So she actually worked for Harry Norman initially. And so she tried to bring in the training and the ideas of Harry Norman to Perimeter Brokers. And Dad, you can't train him. Sorry, Dad. I love him. I love him. He is amazing and brilliant. But he is not into the leverage idea at all. So when you grew up with that for 17 years before he came over here, I just felt like I could do it just as good as, he can do it by himself, I can do it by myself, and we actually didn't really team up on a whole lot. I know a lot of people are like, oh, your dad just feeds you. Yeah, right. he only, we actually help each other out more now than we ever did. And so when we came here, Jim was like, have you heard of contract to close, closing coordinator? And so the closing company was the first hire that I did. And I think they have like helped me with 10 closings in 1 month. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was easy. And it used to be, I would have been just freaking out. So I had these Excel spreadsheets and I'd have all these just checkpoints and I would be doing it all on my own. You probably did this too, right?
We're gonna get her on CRM.
Oh my God. It was that. I'm sure you have a great one. And so I learned from that experience that obviously having help was a beneficial thing. So this past year, I got rid of any contract to close and just hired an assistant and spent a few months just training her. It's not perfect by any means. And we're still working through some things, but I can give her an event to coordinate and she'll just kind of do it. She's great with the postcards. That's been awesome. So like every month she'll send out postcards to different places for me and not to think about that. She can now get me paid at closing, which is awesome. So the first few we didn't get paid. I was like, oh, but it's my fault. It really is. I'm not good at training. But I'm learning and it's been really nice to have her and I'm now paying for her to get a real estate license. So I'd like to see how that kind of works out. I don't know what we'll do with that, but it's been very nice to have the help. And then also this year, I bet I'll make a lot less than I did last year. And that's because I had just told myself I'm giving my dad every week 50-50. And he loves that. He really likes that, of course. But like, today I'm not going to Alfred to show one house. He's doing that for me. And he loves to drive, and so it's nice to have a partner. And so I would highly, suggest that if you have somebody in this business that you respect and that I know more than you, team up with them and just be willing to give up money. Because you're gonna be happier. And like I used my calls yesterday, and it's really cool. So
I'd like to reframe something that Heather said there, which is brilliant, which is, hey, I'm okay with, and the word she uses is giving up money, right? What she's actually doing is she's investing that money, right? Okay. When you start thinking about your business as a business, you're gonna move away from giving away money, okay? And you're gonna move into investing money in the future of my business, right? Okay. Any business owner can sit there and go, any salesperson in real estate can sit there and go, oh, I'm giving away, right? I will tell you that typically that person is not making very much money, okay, all right? When they start thinking about it as a business and looking at what they're investing in the future success, and they start thinking about it as something that is growing, right? It's a totally different conversation. Y'all, at the end of 16 years, I'm getting to keep all the money. So I didn't have to give away any of my money. I was about to leave this business.
Just out of your mouth.
Yeah,
It's just out of your mouth.
Exactly.
And
That's
it's nice to go away, I go away for a whole weekend with my family, and not worry about it. And that's incredible. you know.
And you just said what I was gonna bring up, because we're all talking about money. We're not in this as a nonprofit, but there's something other than money that comes from leverage, and that would be
All the time.
quality time.
I'm away.
Yeah, because if you burn out, like Michael almost did, 0 equals 0, then at that point, so it
Your wife
doesn't
likes you
really
more
matter.
Your wife likes you more now, right?
Sometimes, I mean,
Were there particular tasks that you were so happy to get rid of when you discovered leverage?
Contract closed, one, right?
y'all, I used to have a stack of contracts that sat over on the left side of my desk that had closed with checks from the closing attorney. They would just sit over there, right? Because I was so busy doing low dollar per hour activities throughout the course of my day just to get a deal closed. Holly Boyette did a class when I first started in real estate. Holly was one of the most successful agents in Atlanta. And when I got into real estate 22 years ago, there really wasn't training or that kind of thing. But Holly was teaching a class at our office. And Jim, you know Holly, right? Remember Holly? Yeah. And so when she was teaching this class, I was like, look, Holly Boyette, you kidding me? That's one of the top agents in all of Atlanta. She's teaching a class. I was sitting right there like this, right? And she breezes in and she, says a few things, and then she says, hey, there's 2 things that you need to do to be successful in real estate. 2 things, that's it. She goes, answer your phone and return your phone calls, right? All right. And there were some people in the room who kind of snickered. Yeah, she's like, hey, you know what? She goes, wait until you get busy, and then we'll see if you laugh, right? The second thing she said is there's 1,000 things that have to get done in real estate before you get paid one time. She said unsuccessful agents are always starting over at 1 and climbing the hill anew every time. She said successful agents are always just checking one off the list on their way to getting paid, right? And I thought about that and I was like, oh, mindset, right? I was like, I got mindset, right? And so I just jumped in. What Holly didn't say was you don't have to do all 1,000 of those things every time. I gotta call her. No, right? But so that's where I kind of reached the end of that, right? Which was I just felt like I was gonna do all 1,000 all the time. And
But you can do it better, right?
absolutely. But I'll tell you this, as soon as I handed that off, you want to see me get frustrated quick, bring some contract clothes back my way, right? I would have that whole stack sitting there and I would just have to discipline myself. Shelly would be like, she'd open the door, hey, where's the money? No, I'm kidding. She would say, hey, she would ask me, and she's like, hey, when are you gonna process that paperwork? I was like, oh, we all money, okay, I'll probably, and I would just like block a day and just, inject myself with pain pills, and so, but it was just, painful for me to do that stuff, right? And once I handed that off, it was wonderful. Y'all heard me talking about Remind. I was trying to upload a doc on Remind this weekend. I have no idea how to do it, right? And I went to school and I feel like I'm fairly educated and stuff, and I was just like,
Georgia Tech.
yeah, but anyway, so yeah, just know that if you don't have leverage, you are leverage.
Is there anything, and anybody can ask, is there anything that you've given away, that you've given to, that you desperately want back, that you think, that you miss? No?
That's the whole point of it. I mean, you're not doing
What
it
age?
right. but you're
No.
doing- I'm not doing it.
Why are you laughing, Mike?
So the thought that popped in my head, right, was as you grow a business, right, anything that someone else, you're providing an opportunity for someone else to do something, right? And you should be doing that so that you can go on to do something that is more productive in growing your business, right? So it's almost like the mindset of, am I going backwards or am I going forwards, right? When you said that, the reason I smiled is I was like, I'm not going backwards, right? If you think about your business that way.
Okay, let's wrap it up and then we'll open for questions because we're almost out of time. I'm sure that you all have had some ahas, but what is one tip? Each one of you give one tip that's going to make a difference in someone's business that's sitting out here.
I think it's part of uniqueness here one day. It's like, I'm not better than any of you guys. I'm some more consistent. And I love that. I think that was just the best thing ever, because if you're not consistent in this business, you will get brought down by it. And so it's just nice to go back to that mindset and like, okay, I can time block. I can spend 2 hours calling everybody that I want to call, and they're my friends. So it's fun. I'm enjoying it. How are you doing? Do you need a vendor? Can I help you? How's life? Yeah, especially when COVID was going on. Are you guys okay? You know?
Right, stepping outside of your comfort zone. I actually think it was in this room. It might have been Stephanie Can when she was talking about do something every day that scares you. And I think about that with the agents, and you know, one of the things I'm trying to push with all of them is this video text. And I would say 9 out of 10 are like, no way, no chance am I sending a video text. No. And I had an agent who decided to just do it. And immediately got a response, oh my gosh, thank you, that was so great, immediately from her connection. And, you know, she didn't want to do it, but she tried it and it paid off. And, you know, we were talking about it and I thought, don't tell me that it doesn't work until you've consistently tried it and have been proven right. You know, you don't know until you try it. And I think about that, you know, when the phone rings and you're looking at the number and it's like, I don't know who this is, and you have to make the decision. Do I answer the call that I don't know who's on the other line or not? And then you answer it and it turns out it went great. And you just don't. I'm sitting here and y'all, I was really nervous to come here just in general. I texted Russell right before. I'm like, I'm really nervous. He's like, you'll be fine. And so this is something that scares you a little bit every day. And it's been great. So try something.
Michael?
Well, we're sitting here with two brilliant women. They took my first two answers. So yeah, be consistent, step out of your comfort zone, right? Third one I would say is implement, right? The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is successful people do it. They implement, right? You know, I'd love to tell you that there's some tidbit of skill or knowledge that you're going to go out there and learn. And it's just, you know, sorry, you know, thousands of years ago, the wisest man who ever lived said there's nothing new under the sun, right? Okay. What he was talking about is wisdom was, right? You know, so I just encourage everybody to implement, right? It's be consistent. Hey, get outside of your comfort zone. If you hear something and you get a bit of learning that says, oh, you know what? And then you're like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll do that tomorrow, right? Right? Implement.
Like I hate door knocking, right? And if someone's like, hey, my neighbor's getting ready to sell and I don't have their number, I hate it. You know what I mean? Like I hate going over there and like, here I am. I'm desperate. But almost every time it ends up being a warm conversation. Maybe initially they're not so happy, but you know, if you can just say, I just need your help. I'm not trying to get your house per se. I heard that there's a chance you might be selling, which would be awesome. But do you know anybody else? You know, and so then at least it's redirecting and it's getting them to talk. Right. And I end up having a great time. And I'm always like, well, I get like petrified.
We just talk ourselves out of things before we ever even try it.
And then I'm like, wait, they're doing it. She's doing it right. And it's working for her. I can do this too. You know, I have to mentally be like, I can do this. So yeah.
You all have given amazing tips, and I hope that you all enjoyed that. Any questions for our panelists, professional panelists? We're all professional. We're sharing. You know what the difference about Keller Williams is we collaborate with one another. We share. And all I do pretty much, other than contracts and answer questions, is recruit talent. And one of the things that someone said to me one time is the reason I'm coming to Keller Williams is you all collaborate. I'm living on an island all by myself at another brokerage, and I want to be part of your group.
That was actually why we were.
That's why I do.
No, same thing. Yeah, it was like.
So with that said, any questions that you all want to
Please, so thanks for sharing and being transparent and, you know, sounding like real people, because I actually know that Michael's a real person, because he knocked on my door one time, but I think y'all had a listing in my neighborhood, I can't remember. But anyway, he was there and I was like, I mean, I do that, but I didn't know anybody else did that. So he did it and it was really cool. I think I ended up telling you I was an agent, but anyway, so, but would any one of y'all, I have a morning routine, would y'all share your morning routines?
That's a good question.
My own personal morning routine?
Yeah, what do you?
Yeah. You don't need to hear my personal routine because I'm not an agent. But
Successful people have morning routines.
I do have a morning routine. Okay, fine. I wake up, I have the coffee is brewed because I set it to brew at night, so it's ready to go when I get up, and I sit, and I give myself about 45 minutes to sit in my kitchen counter, and it's my only time all day that I'm alone. And so I relish it, and it's totally embarrassing, but I check 3 different apps and I just get caught up with nothing and everything all at once and have coffee and get ready for work and head to work. That's my morning routine. It is kind of
Mine's chaotic. I mean, it's just nuts. There's children and a dog, a puppy. I mean, like, so yeah, no morning's the same for me. But what is the same for me is that every Tuesday and every Friday, my kids are in school for a full day, because they're actually in a what do you call it? It's a dual, like hybrid. Thank you. And so I actually again leverage. I paid my niece to take care of everything. So she's with them all day Monday, she's with them all day today, all day Thursday, and I do all of my work appointments around that. So like when you have these time blocks, you're actually more successful, I feel like, and you will be. I mean, I know I said chaotic, but I know that I've got every Tuesday and Friday a full day to myself with no kids and no dog really. I mean, my husband works from home, so he can help with that. So that's when I'm always calling all the leads that I've had. I'm really contacting every agent I know, begging them for help. And, you know, if they're asking me for help and tip for tat and all that, and I say I'm on the phone for like 3 to 4 hours those days. And that's when I get the most done. I think when you have too much time, you can, you know, fill it with a lot of shit. And I just don't have any time. I don't have TV shows I watch. I don't have any kind of movies that I watch. Like I just don't, like, because I'm always filling my time with searching through Facebook. Facebook has amazing leads all the time. I always get at least 1 or 2 off markets through that. But I'm on it every day, all the time. Like it's just you're constantly on your phone. Occasionally try to turn it off a little bit. But you guys say that.
Cool. I love something that Bo said. Heather talked about her family first, right? So whatever your schedule is, right, have one and prioritize the first things first, right? I also love what Beth said, which is the night before, here's what I do, right? So if you want to have a successful morning, start it the night before, right? People ask me, how do you get up so early? I'm like, I go to bed. I'd love to have some magic answer for you, right? I don't, you know, it's like, how do you do that? How do you get up in the morning? I'm like, I go to sleep early. You know, so there's typically a simple solution for whatever problem you have. Then I, you know, my morning routine, I get up, I have quiet time, I read, I have certain things that I focus on. I focus on those things, and I think about the course of my day. What are the activities that I'm going through for the day? Then I shower and I do exercise, the exercise routine that I do, and then shower and head in. And I want to go before that. So early on Sunday mornings, I plan out what my week is, right? So I set what my top 3 objectives for the week are. What are the things inside of those top 3 objectives that I need to accomplish? And then I book my calendar based off of that. And so now as I go into my week, and y'all, it used to be the opposite, right? I mean, literally, I was just ready, fire, aim, right? Okay. When I got up to my day, it was just whatever was hitting me back. And it's really helped.
Oh, there's still some days like that.
Oh, it's gonna happen,
Yeah.
right? I can control what happens from 4:45 to 6:30, right? Okay. All right. After that, it's open game, you know.
You gotta be flexible in this business.
You all have been amazing, and you all have been amazing because it tells me that you really are dedicated to doing a really good job. And thank you all for sharing. Tomorrow from 11:30 to 1, we have our last program. The gentleman that's going to be coming is from Keller Williams. He is flying in at 2 o'clock today. We're going to meet him in a little while. His name is Ryan, and Ryan closed last year. He purchased 100 doors. So for those of you that were in team meeting yesterday, what that looks like, it's not 100 units. Some of them are apartments that have obviously more than one door to go into. So he will share a whole different perspective and as far as using your professionalism to increase your income, invest, and comes out of another area that's different from ours. So he'll bring new ideas. So I hope you'll join us. Thank you all so much.
I'm so sorry. So I'm brand new to the industry. I mean, I literally just passed my city exam last Friday. So one question, just, what advice would you give to a brand new person starting out in this agency, in this industry to be successful? And then second, like, I live over in the Kennesaw Ackworth area, and there's a ton of new construction just popping up everywhere. So I'm just kind of curious what you see, how you see that affecting the industry as far as multiple offer situation and pricing and things going forward.
With all that new construction, that could be a really good in for you, because I don't have time to go research all of those places. So if someone like you is getting started and calls me and says, Heather, I know about these 4 or 6 or whatever they are where they're being built, because I have a client right now that would love to be out there in new construction, but I can't always be driving out there. That's helpful to an agent. So you can get on your Facebook page and say, guess what I did today? I toured this new community. It's amazing. You have got to get in here. I know there's these lots coming up available. Call me today and you can become something that I can't be. You know what I'm saying? So that would be a really good place to start.
And my understanding is she's paying people to show property.
I know.
That's her
My
dad.
dad.
That's
But
her
I'm
dad.
saying like that, you just came up with a great one, honestly, on your own. I can't do that all the time. You can't either. You can't go with every new community. It'd be nice.
It's amazing to me they don't listen.
They don't. Yeah, and I will say that's a good one. There's something called Glen Haven, and it's up in the Woodstock area. They don't market it at all. They sell the first 6 that come on in the first week of being out there in the community. It's active adult community, and I've already done 2 in there, and it's actually giving me listings. So I will tell you, if you can get some of these people that are freaked out because they're like, I can't leave my home, but I need to downsize, get them in new construction, get them up there, because it's a price point that won't change. When you sign a contract, they're not going to increase the price. They pay 3% commission, of course, on the base price, which stinks, but it's still something, and then it will release you with listings for next year. A great way to build, the pipeline for next year. I gotta stop talking. Give me a pepper.
Perfect. So let's thank Reed and Silverton.
Yeah.
They always support us, and we thank you very much for that. So if we're